Harry Potter is not only about magic and dark side, there is definitely the beautiful side, such as love, friendships, and romance. That's the subject of today's video. We'll be discussing failed relationships in Harry Potter. Starting first with Hagrid and Madame Maxim. The story began in the 4th book during the Triwizard Tournament, after Maxim and some of her students went to Hogwarts for the Triwizard Tournament. She made such an impact on Hagrid that he immediately started trying to impress her. Since he was another half giant like her, he thought she would understand his feelings. Hagrid almost immediately hit it off with Madame Maxim, a woman after his own heart and nearly his equal. To make a good impression, he had the idea to take Madame Maxim to visit the dragons taking part in the Triwizard Tournament. Then the two had a little dance during the Yellow Ball and were honestly adorable. It looked like their relationship was really going somewhere. Unfortunately, things started to go a bit down when Hagrid accidentally offended Maxim by acknowledging her half-giant status. Their relationship after this was never the same. In the end, they made up and even went on a trip to the giant colonies to try to prevent them from siding with Voldemort. It was a mission Dumbledore gave them, but fate pushed the pair apart once more when Hagrid insisted to take his brother back with him and Maxim returned home alone. After that, we never saw the two together again, but given that Hagrid stopped referring to her, we can assume the relationship didn't continue. What was so incredibly sweet about Maxim and Hagrid's flirtation was that it was among the happiest we'd ever seen Hagrid. And what was so lovely with the two was that we got to see Hagrid try to be an old school man, pulling out his suit to impress his new love. Hagrid's romance also led him to do something no one had seen before, discussing his childhood, how he was abandoned by his mother at a young age, as well as the surprising news that Hagrid was a half-giant. It was a sweet build-up to his reference to Madame Maxim's giant origins, and it's sad that she took it the wrong way. Although Hagrid wasn't wrong, she was indeed a half-giantess. Harry and Cho. Harry had a crush on Cho since they played Quidditch against each other in Prisoner of Azkaban, finally falling into a relationship in the Order of Phoenix. But after 3 levels of build-up, their relationship went down. So what went wrong between Harry and Cho? Dumbledore's army was Harry's safe space during a terrible year, so the fact that Cho's friend destroyed that by betraying them to Umbridge was a terrible move, made even worse by Cho's attempts to defend her, and reproach Hermione for cursing her with snake on her face. This one is hard to get past. Sure, she gets points for loyalty to her friend, but what about loyalty to defending Hogwarts? Also the fact Harry, constantly angry in his 5th year, couldn't see Cho's point of view, which destroyed the entire relationship. Harry and Cho's first date on Valentine's Day had to be romantic, but the tea shop place was a bit not good. It was full of couples kissing each other, which made Harry completely out of his comfort zone, and the whole date just got a bit forced. Of course, it wasn't Cho's fault that her first love, Cedric Diggory, died at the end of the last school year, but perhaps it was a little too early for her to move forward. But Harry wasn't in a great place either. Harry didn't want to talk about the events of the 3rd disc just as much as Cho desperately wanted to. He went out of his way to avoid the discussion, even though it was clearly important to Cho that he talk about it. Laughter is the key to every relationship, and yet Harry and Cho didn't just have any. They also seemed to be unhappy, insecure, or awkward in each other's presence almost all of the time. Even their first kiss was pretty much a traumatic experience for Harry. Cho became jealous when Harry mentioned his plans to meet Hermione later in the day. Although it was entirely innocent, it seemed ridiculous that Harry wouldn't consider for a second that Cho would get a little jealous of Hermione, especially when he cut a date short to hang out with her. Perhaps circumstances meant that Harry and Cho's relationship never quite took off. But if Harry and Cho had made it work, then we wouldn't have seen Harry and Ginny together. So maybe things do happen for a reason. Speaking of Ginny, let's discuss Ginny and Dean Thomas' relationship. At first, Dean's relationship with Ginny seems to be strong as the couple spent a lot of time together. They dated in spite of her older brother Ron's disapproval. Despite the amount of time they spent together, the relationship began to spiral downwards. This was in part due to Ginny's crush on Harry. She had hidden affection for Harry since her first year at Hogwarts, and her affections only grew when Harry saved her from the influence of Tom Riddle's diary. Ginny still maintained hope that Harry would return her feelings. She started dating Dean and a few other boys. Ginny also showed Dean her willingness to continue standing up for Harry. For example, when she became angry at Dean for laughing about Harry getting hit by a bludger, making her visit him in a hospital wing after that. Dean was unfairly blamed for something he didn't mean to do. He annoyed Ginny by doing things, such as when Harry bumped into Ginny while climbing through the Gryffindor common room entrance under his invisibility cloak and under the influence of Felix Felicis. Ginny believed that it was Dean who kept trying to help her through the portrait hole, and the two argued over it. Dean stuck to his ground, saying he didn't help her through, and Ginny ended the relationship. After Gryffindor Quidditch team won the House Cup, Harry and Ginny shared a kiss at the Quidditch party in the common room soon after she broke up with Dean, and Dean broke his glass in wonder that his friend and ex-girlfriend would start a romance so soon. It seemed harsh for Harry not to even consider how Dean might have felt about this development. Dean might have really cared for Ginny and could have been nursing a bit of a broken heart. Despite this, Dean shared no hate to either Ginny or Harry for their relationship. He was only hurt they would do such things so shortly after he was dumped by her. What actually happened was that Dean was unfairly blamed for something he didn't mean to do. What makes things worse is that Harry was actually the one to blame for it. Ron and Lavender. By the beginning of the 6th book, Lavender had developed a crush on Ron. She complimented him, flirted with him, and wished him luck in his Quidditch games.
Good luck today, Ron. I know you'll be brilliant.
After a particularly good performance in one of those games, Ron and Lavender ended up kissing. This greatly upset Hermione, as she had hoped Ron would attend Professor Slughorn's Christmas party with her. The two dated for a few months and were often seen kissing in public, and after the holidays their relationship began to go downhill. What Lavender absolutely didn't deserve was for her new boyfriend to pretend to be in coma when she went to visit him every day, so he wouldn't have to be brave to think of breaking up with her gently. Lavender was a bit rude when it came to Hermione, such as laughing along when Ron made fun of her, but perhaps they could be put down to being young and immature. Ron also reconciled with Hermione and spent increasing amount of time with her, making Lavender suspicious.
Stop it, Ron. You're making it snow.
After she saw Ron and Hermione leave the Gryffindor dormitory seemingly alone, she ended the relationship. Poor Lavender didn't stand a chance when she was accidentally caught in the middle of Ron and Hermione rising relationship. If you think about it, from her perspective, all she knew was that she liked Ron, and that for a time the feeling was common.